addiction expertise as well? You didn't like working work for some company that works in the addiction business one way or the other, did you? Brandy said Monsanto works in the addiction business. Indeed.
No, I think literally they do. I think they make some alcohol addiction medicine, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe that's black stuff, but there are addiction medicines. Yeah, for alcohol.
Can you see my video still? Oh, there it is. I see it. I don't know what happened. So speaking of addictions, I got myself well prepared to get a monster.
I got my coffee. Just had my cigarette, so I'm good.
I had 3 cups of coffee earlier. Well into my feeding my addiction for the day. Oh, I guess I should do the welcome. So welcome everyone to the Irreverent Skeptics Hangout. That is a whole hell of a lot easier to say. For fuck's sake, like we should have done this a long time ago.
Yeah.
So much better than the long ass name before. The other name was comical and all. I'll give it that. Just like it was just hard to try and pronounce all that.
He was probably unaware of the kerfuffle. Like he didn't follow the
Oh.
kerfuffle.
Were you aware of all the kerfuffle over that? Back and forth exchange.
I watched it and thought about jumping in, but I hate getting into those little, I don't know, contests.
At some point, I finally just said, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I just stopped. Like I've said what I wanted to say, so. Oh, what is up? I think we're at 75% of our participants for the day are here now.
Who's our other 25%?
Brandy. Should be on in a minute. So, Michael, we were just talking about our addictions, so what about you?
My addictions?
Do you have any? Or do you have any expertise in that field?
I have no expertise in that field, no. Addiction, maybe caffeine. That's probably my only addiction.
Pretty sure that's probably like the most prevalent. I don't know if I'd say it's the most prevalent addiction. I don't have any kind of data to back that up. I know it's the second most traded commodity. Coffee is. It's the second most traded commodity in the world. So I imagine that in terms of psychoactive chemicals, caffeine's probably, I would imagine, the most ingested.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Stands to reason anyway. Are you hiding back there behind the pole?
No, I'm going type this in a minute.
It just looks like you're hiding back there in the foliage. Nice.
She's addicted to sneaking. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
She's probably our most our biggest resident expert here today because she's worked in the field of addiction treatment.
DNA.
Yeah, DNA.
Right. I gotta put it in.
I don't know. I know very little about addictions, actually.
I've seen plenty of it, but I don't know otherwise. I'm not actually sure if I'm addicted to caffeine or not. I would probably say I am, as much as I drink it.
I do know.
I don't really know how would I diagnose that otherwise. Like, could I stop drinking it? I have before.
If you go without, you have symptoms, or you don't.
Say what?
If you go without, you have symptoms, or you don't. That's the big thing. Like if you just hold turkey, you will have symptoms, or you won't. A headache, tension, irritability. We'd notice it. It's not a secret thing. You would know it.
I'm trying to think when I stopped drinking caffeine before, did I have headaches? Probably, but if I did, they didn't last very long.
Headaches are the big thing. You can get it's actually in the DSM. You can get it into a hospital for caffeine. It's not bad enough. Oh yeah, that's it. Diagnosed the thing.
That would suck if you have to be admitted to the hospital trying to break a caffeine addiction. Like, talk about.
I used to be.
Talk about seeing temptation everywhere. Like,
I used to be much worse with caffeine. In college, I think I had a habit of taking probably 4 or 5 Red Bulls a day.
Oh wow, really?
I was up for 68 hours straight one point studying, so yeah, it was pretty bad.
I've
Now I'm down to
started
about-
a more regimented sleep schedule recently, and now I don't drink anything caffeinated after 7 p.m.
Hmm,
Trying to be in bed by 11. Do what?
that's not a bad plan.
The old lady schedule.
Old lady
Because at a
schedule.
certain age, you're like, I can't have caffeine this late.
Get off my lawn!
Yeah.
Are you in bed? Are you sure that you're at home every night to watch your Jeopardy and your Wheel of Fortune and your Wapner?
Well, I have to see that. I have to see Pat Sajak. Be
I
home
watch
in
my
time for
program.
Sajak. Home in time for Walker.
Gotta see your stories. It's funny. No, I don't know. I've known people who are addicted to all sorts of weird things. I knew a guy in high school who got himself hooked on huffing paint thinner. So
Wow. Boy. Ah, man,
Yeah,
I hope you
not too good
that's
for you.
something. No, not at
it's
all.
so weird to think that somehow this chemical dependency and the whole endorphin rush and all that stuff can hook you and completely throw reason out the window. Well, you're killing yourself while you're inhaling this stuff, but it feels so good. So I don't know.
That's one thing for me. Like I don't know. I like the most euphoric kind of feeling I've ever had is probably, I guess when I would run a lot. Even cycling, which I do mostly now because I got my lower back gets sore from running. Cycling doesn't even give me the same kind of euphoric feeling that a 5, 6, 7 mile run would give me.
Yeah, I've heard that from people who do a lot of running is that tends to become kind of an addiction.
Yeah, it certainly can. I'm not sure. I guess for me, like I didn't feel any kind of withdrawal from doing it other than, man, that's really fun. I wanted to do it some more. I had to stop because it hurt too much to do it. Like I said, I don't get the exact same kind of deal from cycling. Maybe if I went harder and faster, I would do it, or I would get more of that feeling. But whatever, anyway, I just enjoy it. I've never had any kind of chemical that, even drinking, get blasted drunk for a night. I never felt so great that I just had to do it again the next day. Oh, that's so awesome! I have to have that again. I guess I'm just not wired that way, at least not for certain things.
Yeah, I could not make myself drink through a hangover, so I could never become an alcoholic.
I would never, like, even in my heavy drinking days in my early 20s, like if I got drunk, I wouldn't do it again the next day. Like it would be another week before I'd drink again.
Yeah.
Just because the next day it didn't appeal to me. Like, hey, you want to drink? No, I don't. I've had enough of that for now. I would go a week or 2 weeks between having drinks. Like now I can have them. I might have them more frequently, but it would be like, yeah, I had two ciders or something like that. Often don't even feel anything. That like, yeah, I had 2 ciders, and I didn't get a buzz or anything, and then just taste good. And then a few days later, maybe have another. But I don't drink to get buzzed or drunk anymore.
Hmm.
So, Mike, what's your next episode of Skeptics Guide to Conspiracy going to be about?
I'm addicted to that show.
Some more JFK
Carlton
stuff.
George, by the way, says, hello, guys. Howdy, Carlton. So episode 5 is next. Is that right? Part
Yeah.
5?
Yeah, but there's been some crazy stuff happening out there. There's the fainting girl behind Obama is now supposed to be a conspiracy. There's the
She was planted
Oh,
in the
really?
audience to make a movement, yeah.
yeah, and then there's a guy who
Nice.
supposedly has found evidence that Jesus was made up by the Romans. I'm trying to follow that one. And,
Yeah. I do a little reading on that myself.
it's like
So, turns out that he came up with this
had not heard
idea
it.
back in
apparently last week he was supposed.
I think we're losing Mike.
Yeah, he was supposed to have a press conference yesterday.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how well attended it was.
like a week. Yeah, it was last Saturday, but I haven't seen anything in the news about it. So it's like, must be a non-issue.
I'm guessing his evidence wasn't too much of a slam dunk. So,
I mean, I would think. Well, I think at least somebody would, be online trashing the guy after it.
Yeah, it turns out that the guy came out with his theory originally back in like 2005 or so when he wrote a book about it, and it was pretty much torn to shreds back then, and he's come up again because now he has a documentary that he's trying to sell with exactly the same evidence and the same theories and everything. So there isn't really anything particularly new about what he has. It's a rehash of his previous evidence, but he's got a new shiny new package that he's trying to sell it in. So.
Yeah.
And even other people who are Jesus physicists, the people who say that Jesus never existed and was invented as a myth, like Richard Carrier and some of the much more fringy ones like Acharya S., who was used as a source in Zeitgeist, they say that he's full of it. So if the kooks are saying you're full of it, then chances are pretty good that, I don't know. Well, either you're mainstream science or you're out of luck. So.
Right.
Carlton in the Q&A asked if we had a specific topic. Yes, it's addiction, which, as you can tell, we're not talking about at the moment. We are known for going off topic.
We are verifiable.
Anyone who's watched this once or twice knows that we will not stick to topic. We will come back to it.
Yes. Brandy will keep us in line. She's good at that.
She's having trouble getting in like we did.
One thing I know about it. BGS is out together.
That's right, big garter snake holding you back.
Right.
It's tarantula, like, you don't know.
It's true.
You don't see them out there, they're probably living people.
They're around, I guarantee you. There are tarantulas here somewhere. You may see one.
Wait, they're working with tarantulas now? I'm confused.
Big tarantula, big garter snake.
Oh, okay.
They're joining forces.
Teaming up. Okay. It's the best conspiracy ever.
At least temporarily. That's
too many legs and not enough legs.
That's the working hypothesis.
If you doubt big tarantula, Google that shit. Oklahoma tarantula. Oh my god, the fight on this thing? Holy fuck. They don't even pretend to be armored. Oh my god.
It's not a very good conspiracy. Threat is right out there in the open. I don't know. So.
Well, on occasion they like to work together, to press forward their agendas.
Yes.
Was it telling you that it was unreachable when you were trying to get on here, Michael?
Yeah, it said that first, and then a couple minutes ago I got an error that said the video call ended due to an error. So. Yeah. Google Plus Hangouts are being a little iffy today. Hopefully we're actually on air, not just telling us we're on air. Although I guess we have to be if Carlton is talking to us, yeah. So.
He's putting up with our bullshit right now.
Yes. Please excuse our mess. We are doing absolutely nothing
there we go.
Solve our problems. So.
Here comes the expert.
Oh, fuck.
Or not. No.
Maybe.
It
could be my super lovely internet speed could be hampering some of this, I'm sure.
Hey, there she is. All right. So, addiction expert, hit us with that knowledge, yo.
All right, let's see. So, when one is questioning whether or not one has an addiction, there's some simple things you can look at. You can self-diagnose. Like, for instance, if you go without a given substance, are there any symptoms? Do the people in your orbit consider you an addict of this thing, whatever it is? And have you tried to quit unsuccessfully? So that's just sort of the heuristic around it. Like, you can self-diagnose just based on that. Those are not good signs. And the answer is yes. The more yeses you get, the worse off you are. Oh, use despite negative consequences. That's the other big one. So,
I think I'm addicted to breathing.
Breathing, there you go.
Oh,
You've not really tried unsuccessfully. Or no, your friends would not say that that's a problem, though. A big part of it is do people consider you, problematic, whatever it is. So John mentioned running, and that's actually a pretty good one because people who are compulsive, or we would say addicts or whatever, have a problem with running. Definitely do it despite negative consequences. So I knew cross-country runners who at 17 had shin splints, which means their shins were literally splintering, and they had bone spurs in their feet, and all these things. And basically, they met the criteria for self-mutilation. If you just kind of replace the mechanism with something else, like rusty razor blade, like yep, these people are self-injuring with cross-country running. And they would, 17 is awful young to have lower back problems. Some of them had surgery, so use despite negative consequences. Increased over time. That was also true. That increased their distances. Ridiculous. People around them considered it a problem, and they had tried unsuccessfully to quit, and just found it absolutely unacceptable to sit around all day or to do something else. So, yeah, addiction in a broad sense applies to whole lots of things.
So, what are people's options if they want to get out of addictions? So, a lot of the things people know about are the 12-step programs, which tend to be pretty heavily religious. So.
Now, the 12-step even says in their own literature they are not treatment. So it's basically whether or not you need to fill your time with something. If it's a matter of, instead of hanging out at a dope house, you want to hang out with people that say they're in recovery, you can spend your time in the recovery community, which I don't recommend, actually. It's not scientifically based. I'm not a joiner as it is in general. I find it, I've been to many, many meetings, and I find them just unbearable. I would rather be alone with my addiction than be in a room with those people. And even they're wonderful people still. It's a culture that is really, it's kind of God-based, and it's just a terrible culture. It's the same people that are at the dope house, only now they're sober and a little more obnoxious and really hardcore usually. Or they're using, and you're around people that are involved in their addiction still, so that's pretty rough. My clients that took their recovery seriously had a hard time going to these meetings where there were people that smelled like booze. So I don't really recommend it, but if you absolutely need to, if someone absolutely has to have a thing to join and a place to spend a lot of their time, then okay.
Yeah. I think my problem, although I never felt like I needed treatment, was with 12 steps, though, the idea that you have to give up control to, like, you have to recognize a higher power, that you have no power against your addiction.
Yes.
To me, that seems like devaluing yourself and your abilities to some extent.
Yeah,
I know it does work for some people.
I just looked up the 12 steps of AA, and the 6 and 7 steps are we're entirely ready to have God remove defects of character and only ask Him to remove our shortcomings. So you're giving all the change, the power to change to God instead of to yourself. It's kind of. And
if you succeed, He gets the credit. That's the fun part. It's not through your hard work and effort. It's through God. Yeah, total bullshit.
Yeah. So it's funny because I've seen non-religious people say that they can go through the 12 steps, and they say, oh, you can make your higher power your lamp if you want to.
Anything you want. But it could be a doorknob. Yeah.
It doesn't really work if you're asking your lamp to remove your shortcomings.
Yeah. To do a searching,
what if you rub
fearless
the lamp,
moral inventory, that's a good idea.
Not that kind of
you just rub the lamp and you get three removals of addiction, right? That's how that works.
My lamp's a halogen. That genie's cooking.
The genie inside your television would definitely not survive very long. That thing is like IMAX. I'm still impressed with that. I look like holy shit, that thing's your electricity bill must be outrageous.
Not really. Whatever, shut up. Okay. I don't know, I've seen some critiques of 12-step programs on the web, and apart from just the religious aspect of it, I've seen places, I don't know how accurate this is, as usual, I'm going to give my disclaimer that I'm not an expert on anything, and I'm kind of just pulling this from varied memories, but things I've read have said things like, the only thing they consider to be a failure of the program is if you leave it, like if you, well actually no. They count you as a failure if you leave the program before you finish all 12 steps. If you start drinking again after finishing the 12 steps, they say that you've never really finished the program, and so that they can't say that you failed.
No true Scotsman.
Yeah. So that's part of the reason I've heard that that's part of the reason why their success rates are so high, is because the things they're counting as successes are people who don't drink, and the things they count as failure are people who left before they finished, rather than those who start drinking again. Yeah. So it's not really tracking success.
They don't at all.
So I've got a couple of things in the Q&A here. See, Carlton George said George Carlin used to say that it's a balance between a little pain in the beginning for large benefit versus a large amount of pain in exchange for a small benefit later down the line. Trick is knowing when the scales have tipped. That seems to make sense to me.
Absolutely. That's what they say. You quit when it costs you too much, or when your threshold for a certain kind of pain has been reached. And so some people, that threshold's pretty low. Like me, I've been hungover exactly once. Why? Because that was terrible. Some people are willing to go through that 1,000,000 times. I was willing to do it exactly once, and I didn't know what I was getting into, or I wouldn't have been willing to do it the once. It was that bad. So you have a threshold, and only you know what that is.
We had 2 other questions. I think they're gone now, but Salva de la Asuncion
Salva de la
says hello. And then Cody Thorne asks, is God real? Not if you ask me, but...
No.
Hi, I'm God.
We don't have any...
Nice to meet you, Cody.
When you say real...
I believe in Hillbilly God. I want Hillbilly God to solve my diabetes problem.
I have a
Hillbilly
Hillbilly
Jesus?
God Twitter account.
Like Hillbilly Jesus from Cognitive Dissonance?
Hillbilly God.
Yeah, I want him to fix things.
Yeah.
Yes, send your Hillbilly God questions to, let's see, what's my account name? Hillbilly_God on Twitter. I will answer them.
That's funny.
Well, and
At Hillbilly God.
At Hillbilly God, Hillbilly_God.
you're about to have another caller in one moment. So Carlton says, so they're basically using the personality traits of people inclined to addictive habits to manipulate them into staying in the program.
Yes.
Basically, yeah. You're
Yes,
trading
absolutely.
your whatever
That's very
addiction was
astute.
for a religious addiction.
Yeah.
Addiction, basically.
Yeah.
They want you to submit your will and the direction of your life to this higher power that you've started believing in. So it's kind of like you're trading one addiction for another.
Yeah, exactly. And if you need that and it helps, okay, fine. But I would not find that helpful if it were me. And I've been to so many of those meetings.
Yeah, if your goal is to
Just
actually
to work, just because of
break
my
out
clients
of
and because of
addiction,
school.
then, I don't know, trading one addiction for another doesn't seem to
We
help.
have another viewer, Mert Ginkler. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Says hello. So, Mert,
Hello, Nerd.
we have a lot of viewers coming and going today. Yeah.
Hey, Mert.
It's good. I am following Hillbilly_God right now.
Are you really?
Appreciate that greatly.
Heck yeah, yeah. Howdy, y'all.
Do you like the picture of
Excellent.
God with a banjo playing
Excellent.
angel?
Yes, yes, that's awesome.
Yes.
If there's a God that I meet when I die, I'm going to tell him right away, like, you are not worthy of worship. You are a douchebag. You have a lot to explain.
There's a comic strip I remember reading where God meets up with a god of some other planet somewhere, and like they talk about how their created beings are doing, and the aliens like talking about how great they are and how they've come so far with science, technology, and everything. He says, "So how are your guys doing?" "Oh, they're fine." So the alien leaves. Then God kind of like looks down and depressed, and he says, "Why am I such a dum-dum?"
Makes me think of the Futurama where Bender inadvertently becomes God for
Yes.
a people.
I like Alanis Morissette as God.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Definitely.
The skee ball, definitely.
So, Brandy, what is the what are effective treatments for addiction? Or I guess I would assume they would vary depending on the addictions. Yeah.
You know what is funny is that it doesn't really matter what the addiction is specifically necessarily. It's just these kind of broad ideas that you have to not be around people who are engaging in that thing. You need to avoid, as they say, wet places, wet faces, whatever. You need to avoid the settings that trigger you. So, for instance, you know, the running thing, okay, well, you need not to go to the track. So you go cycling, you go and, you know, that's not going to be the same kind of trigger. If you go cycling or you were involved in athletics on the water or whatever, that's not so much a trigger, whereas you need to avoid the Appalachian Trail. Even if you start out, okay, I'm going to go hiking, that's probably unlikely because there is a temptation to run huge stretches of that because it looks like, hey, that wouldn't be so bad. But there you are, triggered by, you know, a certain kind of setting. So avoiding the settings, avoiding the people. You do need to admit that it was a problem. You don't need to self-identify and say, I am an addict. I think that is probably pretty self-defeating, but you need to recognize that this thing is not okay. It has cost me too much, and I'm unable to handle it in moderation. You need to be honest about this thing is going to be 100% abstinence kind of thing from now on. But as far as effective treatments, there's cognitive behavioral therapy that's shown that has some evidence behind it. Some things you need a physical medical detox to start you off, but that's just a matter of getting this chemical either out of your system or tapered off so that you don't die of withdrawal, which is really dangerous. Like alcohol, for instance, that's what Amy Winehouse did. That's my guess, is that when they found her dead and sober, that she may have very well killed herself by trying to detox herself from booze, just cold turkey, and that is highly dangerous. And methadone, same thing. If you quit methadone very suddenly, very dangerous.
I did not know that quitting drinking suddenly could be.
Oh, yes. Yeah, very dangerous. Yeah, very.
Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle was such a bad alcoholic, they told his... My uncle was such a bad alcoholic, they told his wife that she needed to get him a small bottle of booze every day and probably never even think about cutting him off completely because, yeah, he had something like a Parkinson's or something like that was brought on by the drinking, but they could never really completely detox him.
Delirium tremens or whatever DT.
Yeah, DT, that's just the shaking, but there's other stuff. It causes like cardiovascular problems and bigger things. The shaking itself is not that big of a deal, but yeah, all the other stuff that comes, they can hallucinate, they can go into all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, chemical dependencies can be pretty nasty.
Yeah, and quitting them. Quitting benzos, you want to see suffering. You have never seen suffering until you've seen someone trying to cold turkey off of benzodiazepines like Klonopin and things like that, Xanax. The withdrawal from that is some version of hell I can't even describe to you.
And it's funny you say that because I'm looking up on alcohol withdrawal syndrome on Wikipedia, and it says benzodiazepines are often used as a treatment for alcohol withdrawal.
Yeah, and it's a good idea because those people don't have a benzo addiction. But if somebody already has a pretty bad Zandy habit.
Zandy bar?
Zandy bar, they call it.
I love your slang. I've never heard that before.
Zandy bar, yeah, that's the addict's word for it.
So Carlton posted a link to a YouTube video a moment ago, so I'll post that in the comments after this. I was also going to say a minute ago, I saw an article recently. There's some type of treatment some type of chemical treatment that's supposed to stop any kind of desire for nicotine.
Yeah.
I will see if I can find that article. I'll post a link to it if I can. I hate to not have any more info on that. I don't remember what all it said, and I don't want to try and remember like half-assedly. So instead, I'll half-assedly mention this article I read once.
There's some pretty cool ones that you can do at home as far as sort of home remedy type things for nicotine, because nicotine addiction is based on whatever levels are already in the system, and so you can do things like cream of tartar with orange juice, pretty nasty, but it leaches some of the nicotine out of your system, so when you pee, you've lessened the nicotine already in your system and therefore lessened your craving. It's not magic, it is not homeopathy, it is a physical thing that is a property of cream of tartar that people try to cover up with orange juice. So if you have a 2-pack-a-day habit, it's based on how much nicotine is already in your system. You drink that, you leach some of it out, then you won't have the 2-pack-a-day craving when you wake up.
So another comment from Carlton. Man, you were all over it today, Carlton, and thank you for that. He says he has a plan to wean himself off of beer over the next 45 to 50 years. He doesn't want to do anything too suddenly. I have to agree with that. You don't want to do it all at once. Get baby steps.
Yeah, I'm thinking that by about 2080 I'll be off myself. So.
I plan to live to see 135-ish, so I figure in about 100 years I'll quit drinking caffeine. Yeah.
Jeez.
Give or take.
If caffeine were ever to interfere with my sleep, I would quit. But right now, I can drink as much as I want and go to sleep fine.
Lucky.
So
yeah,
my mom says it will
sure.
change with menopause, but we'll see.
I'm not certain that it affects my sleep. If I were to drink coffee right before I try to go to bed, that might keep me up. Otherwise, like if I'm just drinking sodas, I don't know that it affects it, but I feel like I quit drinking it after 7 because I'm like, if that's possible, if like my lack of sleep was affecting my work, so I'm like, if that may have some slight effect, then I'll go ahead and stop drinking it every evening. Not a big deal. But in the morning, I will bulk up on it. I will binge on caffeine in the morning.
Yeah.
But you're also fairly large, and I think dose-wise, like your caffeine intake is not that bad. What?
Judgy.
6'5", yo.
Oh, wow, okay. I didn't realize you were that tall.
Yeah.
3 inches taller.
Yeah, he's huge tall. So his doses of everything are just bizarre. I mean, painkillers don't affect him the same way. I think caffeine doesn't get to him the same way. You know, things don't affect him like one would think because his dosing.
Yeah, you give me.
So you're pretty much Robert Wadlow, is what you're telling me?
Like like you give me painkillers, like opiates of some sort, Lortabs, for instance. Give me Lortabs for pain, like I'll take it. I'm like, yeah, I don't feel anything different. Like none of those seem to affect me. Interestingly enough, like I would take Lortabs a couple of times when my back was really hurting, and that never really seemed to help. The two things that did help, Flexerol, which is a muscle relaxer, would help me sleep, and then just taking Aleve, naproxen sodium. It would put a dent in the back pain where the Lortab, I didn't feel anything, but naproxen sodium would. So much better option. My doctor just said, yeah, take that if you need it. He's like, if you need a prescription for something heavier, come back and talk to me. But he said, if that works for you, definitely take that as you need it.
And when you did take a benzo,
like with physical therapy and with physical therapy and staying active and trying to stay flexible, that mostly is not even a problem anymore. Once in a while it'll ache a bit, but moreover it seems to be fine.
So I'm
glad that. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say I decided to look up how exactly cream of tartar helps with nicotine withdrawal. Apparently, nicotine.
Isn't that harvested down at the local dental stools?
Oh, that's disgusting.
Sorry, go ahead.
Scrape the teeth. No. Apparently, it's got a lot of potassium in it, and when you smoke things with nicotine in them, your body kind of doesn't absorb potassium as well. So it's just like mega dosing on potassium to kind of get you back up to the levels you need to be at. And apparently, they say that you're supposed to drink the orange juice to get the vitamin C because it'll boost your immune system.
No, that's not why. It's because it tastes disgusting, and that's what they need to cover it up with. And it's a non-caffeine thing, because also people tend to be dehydrated when they're smokers because of the whole coffee thing. It tends to go there's a word, comorbid with other addictions. There you go. They call themselves cross-addicted. But comorbid just means you have something else going on at the same time, some other disease process going on at the same time.
Yes.
Is there actually anything that does give an immune system boost? Is that it?
It's not one thing, the immune system. It's not one thing. So to say a boost, it's like saying giving the earth a boost. Well, there's many things on the earth. How do you give the earth a boost?
Plus, you don't really want, if your immune system is working, you don't really want to boost it because that's called an autoimmune disorder.
Yeah, I have an autoimmune disorder. I would not recommend messing with your lymph nodes, with your endocrine system, with your T cell, lymphocytes. Like, leave it all alone. It's humming along nicely. Leave it alone.
What is there? There's some autoimmune disease that has a Japanese name, and I can't remember what it is.
Hashimoto's disease?
Yes, I think my mom has that. Disease. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thyroid thing. It made me fat for a while.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult for people to lose weight.
Yeah, and I ended up losing 130 pounds even with the Hashimoto's disease, which is like unheard of because even the medicine, the guy who gave it to me said, you will lose probably about 2 pounds. That's the average weight loss with this thyroid medicine, 2 pounds.
Is there a name for being addicted to peanut butter? Is that a thing?
Being addicted to what?
Peanut butter?
Probably whatever the Latin name is for peanuts, something ophile, something ophelia.
Weirdness?
It's like, I swear, it's like crack. You put up, like, you just open up a jar of peanut butter, set it on the counter, and watch me walk by it. It will catch my eye. Like, I will stop and look at it and be like, I will have to taste it.
You have nerdy, cute G-rated addictions. You're so funny. Like fitness and peanut butter. Like a giant 5-year-old. I like running around and eating peanut butter. It's so cute. Me, I'm like, wow, I chain smoke cigars and amphetamines, and I'm just a terrible human being, actually. Like, I've realized that now that I'm in your orbit. I heart Adderall.
Arachisophilia.
That sounds like you're addicted to spiders.
Or Dune. Arachis. No.
Yeah.
We have a.
No, I haven't read Dune. Arachis hypogaea is
we have
for a peanut. So.
We have a question that was posted in Russian, so I used Google Translate. The question was, "Hi all, I have such a question. What's the matter? Explain to please." I think that's what he's asking. He or she is asking what the topic is. The topic is addictions.
What was the question? Because it was choppy. What was it again?
And the translation says, "Hi all, I have such a question. What's the matter? Explain to please." So my best guess is like, what's the topic? Addiction? What's the matter?
The correct translation is, has anyone really been far even has decided to use even go what to do look more like?
What kind of addiction? He might be asking. What specifically are we talking about? Maybe what's our specific topic? So you need to translate back Russian addictions in general and tangential items.
Yes, I think the correct translation is, has anyone really been far even has decided to use even go what to do look more like?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
I meant to
Carlton
say
said.
that thing about potassium. You have to be careful, but one has to be careful about megadosing potassium. I take it because I get problems because of the diabetes with my potassium and get leg cramps. So I bought over-the-counter potassium, being wonderful country that we live in. I can just buy potassium. There's no warning label on it. There's no anything. And I work with nurses, and they said, you need to be monitoring that. You need to have labs. You can't just take potassium. And I said, well, I get leg cramps, and I go low and have diabetes and all that. And they said, yeah, you can't just take potassium. Like, I will repeat to you, this is very serious. And there's nothing on the label. There's nothing in the ether that is known. I bought it from a pharmacist. There was no warning about, hey, you really need to follow this with labs. It's actually quite serious. It has to do with your heart function and all these other things. And there's a pretty narrow range of what's healthy as far as your potassium goes. And it has to do with your heartbeat and very serious things. If you go too low or you go too high, very dangerous. And so I take it sparingly and only when I'm getting real bad attacks of the leg cramps. But that's just unacceptable to me that I live in a country like that allows that.
I was not aware of that until Brandy told me about it. So thankfully, I did not, like, when I used to run a lot, I would take potassium with vitamins back then every day. And I'm glad I did not continue to do that because.
Well, you ran a lot. So.
And that's
right. So I was burning off potassium then, and taking potassium helped keep me from getting leg cramps. But now, like, I don't think I would burn it off enough to warrant taking it. Maybe I'm not really
Every
sure.
time,
I'm glad I know that.
You don't need to supplement. You eat a healthy diet, and you're not suffering any symptoms. But just the fact that it's not even on the label, about what the proper amount is or what's the recommended. It gives you your dietary potassium levels, but that doesn't help.
I don't remember ever seeing anywhere that it's dangerous taking too much of it. Like, that is something that should be. Yeah, that should definitely be explained.
If you look it up, potassium overdose is serious, and you'll constipate yourself.
The supplement industry in the U.S. is just so poorly regulated as it is.
It really is, yeah. So Carlton says Dr. House was addicted to Vicodin but didn't care. Gotta like that. Is that from the show The House?
Yeah, The House. I watched it, and what was great about that is they showed some of the negative consequences, but they also showed the more realistic picture of the addict as someone who is completely functional and good at their job. And I appreciate the nuance of that show.
Vicodin's a painkiller, is that right?
Yeah, that's your opiate. That's your Lortabs and morphine and that family.
Speaking of addiction, I have a story. Someone I know, a good friend of mine, has been a working alcoholic for as long as I've known him, which is more than like going on 15 years, right?
Quite common.
And well, interestingly, I say working alcoholic, like he lost a few jobs due to it, but moreover, he did okay. Anyway, so. Yeah, what's crazy is he starts dating this girl some years back, and they ended up getting married. And just him dating this girl, she never badgered him into not drinking. But that alone, like, he met the right person that he pared down his drinking so much that, like, he will have a couple of drinks every now and then. Like, his life is completely on track now. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like, I would never believe that someone could just go cold turkey and, like, or that's not exactly cold turkey, but someone could just, like, stop this excessive behavior that they had because, oh, I met this person I enjoy, and because I like this relationship, I'm gonna live better now. Like, he totally did. I'd never seen anything like that.
Wouldn't tolerate it, and so he made a conscious decision that he was willing to do this thing, and he recognized secretly maybe, but recognized this is a problem. So he at least got to that first step. He's not in denial. He recognized it.
You just
what? Sorry.
Sorry. No, I was going to say, you just raised to me, there's a friend of mine who I'm on an email list with who is addicted to being in relationships with damaged people.
Ooh, addicted to broken toys, as we call it, yeah.
Yeah, he's very much, like, kind of a fan of going out and finding people who are not quite right and seeing if he can fix them. He's told stories about having people with, like, dissociative identity disorder, and he'll wake up in bed with them, and they think that he's somebody who's broken into their house. And
so he is. That's kind of a self-injurious behavior, or self-mutilating kind of behavior, self-defeating.
Yeah, he knows.
It's a sad addiction, though. It's a sad one.
Donna said that's not going cold turkey if he's still drinking. That's correct. I misspoke. I just meant to have slowed it down. I don't think he actually did. He may have. I don't know. But either way, he just slowed it way down. Like, he's not doing the same crazy behavior as I saw before. Carlton just said off topic but related to healthcare. Excellent. Off topic's perfect for us.
Wow.
He said he learned today that when organizations collect used eyeglasses, they legally cannot give them to someone who can use them because we have a law in the U.S. to prevent it. they send them overseas.
Yeah, they do. They
I've
advertise
not
that.
heard of that, but that actually doesn't surprise me.
sucks.
Like,
They advertise
Yeah,
that fact on the
yeah.
sign that says "Help our overseas programs," and it shows pictures of them in some place where there's a lot of black people.
yeah, yay for fucking capitalism. Like, I wonder. Like, I guess I could donate them though to Goodwill or something like that. Is that a thing?
But
Or
then
can you
they're not sure of the numbers. They don't know what the prescription
Yeah.
is. They would have no way of knowing. And then people like me who have an astigmatism, we would never be able to benefit from that ever.
I see. Huh. Well,
You'd have
I
to
guess
put a
that-
little sticker on it with a number.
I guess that's something. I don't know. Like,
You could put the little sticker with a number. They just need to know the number, like whatever your prescription number is.
right,
I don't even know my
right.
number.
I got you.
Huh.
I asked Carlton if he'd be interested in jumping the Hangout because he has lots of good input. So,
Yeah.
like grab yourself
can
a
buy
beer and
out.
jump in and bullshit with us. Like,
Yeah, I'll
absolutely.
buy out if it'll make it easier to connect.
I will add you to my circles and try and get you in here.
Marvelous.
Next week, maybe we won't have the video problems. Like, apparently, two computers here in this house trying to do a Hangout is crippling my connection. So.
Yeah, really.
That's what you get for having tin cans and string.
Man, I'm telling you, like,
Carrier pigeons.
when I move, that will not be a problem. Oh God, I wish I had Google Fiber. Like,
Pony Express.
we could all be in the same room with Google Fiber and torrenting movies and wouldn't have any problem. Like,
What was the difference
you
between
don't
here
do
and
that.
Pittsburgh when you had me check my numbers? What were my numbers and what were your numbers? It was outrageous.
my average is anywhere from 10 to 15 down, and yours was about 90, I think. And your
Yeah.
up speed was 7 or 8 up. Like,
Really?
Like I started.
And I didn't know
drooling,
what any of
yeah.
that meant, so I
You have
read my
10 to
numbers to him,
15.
and he's like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, and
It seems
that's
like if you have 10 to 15 down, you shouldn't really have trouble. I don't know.
no,
what
that's my
the
average.
outline is
Like
there.
right, it's that. Well, the upload speed right now is causing problems. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. Like, and it's
You're
variable.
regularly choppy on Skype when it's just us, me and you. You're on Skype
it's-
like Cubert.
It's fucking ridiculous.
I'm
Like,
in love with the Cubist painting.
I could get a slightly better connection for paying over twice what I paid for this. It's just
Oh,
not
Mike, I
right.
want you to know. I want to tell you, you cracked us up. Both of us laughed out loud when we came across your comment about the friend, draw me like your friend. We laughed. So I would laugh like
Yes,
crazy.
oh my God,
and
that
then
was
John read it
fucking
later,
amazing.
and he's laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing at? He's like, that thing about the French girl. I was like, oh, it is the funniest thing. We both literally, like, ROFLMAO, like, so funny.
You just said ROFLMAO out loud.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Awesome.
ROFL.
So I've got a few other comments and whatnot here. Crokin says, "What about people who should be addicted to something because without the addiction they're completely uninteresting to the rest of us? Maybe we should let them be." Yeah, I don't know. I can't
Well, we
exactly
had Christopher
argue with that.
Hitchens, and he had his scotch.
Yeah,
You know
like,
so.
what?
Yeah,
I
Christopher
recommend it.
Hitchens, though,
Why
he could be
not?
balls
Keep
out drunk.
drugging.
That guy could be balls out drunk, totally interesting, coherent, like
On
yeah,
point.
he was-
Never
somebody
missed a
like
point. Never missed a point.
I don't know that he was uninteresting if he wasn't drunk, but certainly I saw no fault in him drinking.
Well,
No,
if he
except
wasn't drunk, he was
Rexy
asleep.
Buddy.
So.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, Carlton says, "Welcome to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Fiber to every house, gigabit internet."
Oh.
What?
I hate you in principle, sir.
You lucky bastard.
Tennessee has something I'm envious of? I doubt that. Oh my god.
Let me see if I can get Carlton in here now. Why not? Yeah, let's see what happens.
If I need to leave completely to help, I will. I'll just
No, you're fine. We
You'll probably-
don't have much long. We don't have too much longer for today, anyway.
His camera will probably auto start and he's in his underwear or something.
That would be so funny.
I have a story about that. It was not
I
me,
was
but
playing
a
on
coworker of mine was playing World of Warcraft, and
Yeah.
one of my other coworkers had to call him to ask him some questions. So he calls him on Skype, and it auto answers, and he's sitting there buck naked on his laptop playing World of Warcraft.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and this is one of those guys who's
Ew.
like, so you needed eye bleach and brain bleach after that. So, yeah.
We call that staff autoclave where I work. You need a staff autoclave. Like, oh my god.
And of course,
So-
Skype is in the background, so you're not seeing that you're on a video call with somebody. Jeez.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I was on Skype once with my boyfriend, and he's like, I'm going to go take a shower. And he disappears to take a shower, whatever. Skype is up and running, and I'm reading, minding my own business, and something moves out of the corner of my eye. I look, and there's this big fat ugly chick walking through his living room. I'm like, what the fuck is that
hi.
thing? Like, some chick let herself in and was like snooping around his house while I'm watching on Skype. I turned my camera off so I could watch, and she's like snooping around his computer, snooping around his kitchen, like wherever, like looking for him, honestly. Like, then she
Sounds
goes barging
thoroughly
into the
inappropriate.
bathroom. I shit you not.
Are you sure she just wandered in there?
It looked like it. She had that whole, like, are you here? Are you here? Like, I'm not supposed to be here, like, stance. She didn't walk in like, oh, I'm expected. I'm a lady of this house. No, she walked in like, I'm breaking in. Yeah. It was craziness. Just goes barging into the bathroom. I was like, this is about to get interesting.
Looking for easy cheese.
was like, what the fuck? Who is this
Not in this house.
person?
No, I once was on my PS3 and I had my camera hooked up, and a friend of mine sent me a chat request, and it immediately turned on the camera. I didn't expect it to instantly turn on the camera, and like luckily only half
Gives
naked.
a whole new meaning to the term teabagging. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I was unfortunately only half nude and under a blanket, and so he thought I was nude, but I wasn't. So.
That's so funny. You knew what you were getting into. Come on.
Okay, Carlton said not to worry. He's not playing well. Excellent. You're not playing well. That doesn't mean you're not nude. But, sorry, I haven't. The invite is sent. I'll take the risk. Fuck it.
I mean, you could be playing Call of Duty. You know.
I've been on the internet now for like I don't know, 15, 20, however many years, like a long freaking time. Like I have unintentionally seen a penis more times than once. So
unintentionally.
You've actually seen a penis, I'm sure.
Chat roulette.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've watched lots of porn, so I've intentionally seen a penis. That is true. So Mike, you haven't said much. Mike Bowler, you have any thoughts to share here? You're just
really.
Why am I fucking here?
Yeah, that's. I mean,
Good
I
to
don't
see
have.
you, though.
Yeah.
It is. This would not. I am of the opinion this would not be right unless you were here anymore. So.
Yeah, you are absolutely part of Saturday for me, anyway.
No, I can't think of anything. I'm not that. I don't hang. Well, I don't want to talk about my ex-girlfriend. She was into pills. That was a trip.
That's hard.
Adventure. Don't need to drag those old memories up. But I can't think of anything
yourself, have you ever
else.
tried to quit smoking?
I quit for 6 months.
Wow. Did you gain weight?
No, actually, I mean, when I'm
good,
working, I mean, I'm out in the plant, so I'm always climbing, and I mean, I'm kind of exercising.
That's good.
But the stress kind of started kicking up again, because I'm trying to remember exactly, because it was like there were a bunch of layoffs happening, and then my contract was coming toward the end type of deals, so it ended up being, oh, what the hell, I'll just start smoking again. But like I'm being here in Michigan, you
can't smoke anywhere.
I can't smoke in the hotel room. I can't smoke in my car because it's a rental.
Oh yeah. I think that's
so it's like, so I'm
you can't
down
even smoke
to
at the
like,
strip club in Windsor. It's ridiculous.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, I'm
so
down
wrong.
to, so when I'm on the road, I'm down to like a half a pack a day. So that's like
Pretty
that's
good.
Cool. Yeah. So I'll just one of these days I'll just buy a whole bunch of. I need my Snicker bars.
Some gum.
M&Ms. I don't do
Like
gum.
cinnamon
I don't
gum.
for some reason.
I love cinnamon gum. If I can't smoke, then that'll do.
Yeah.
So Mike reminded me. I had an ex-girlfriend from many, many moons ago that was an alcoholic, or seemed to be anyway. But like I don't have very many stories to tell, and none of them would be entertaining anyway. But then I was also going to say I know two people. My ex-wife and a longtime really good friend of mine both quit smoking cold turkey. Yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore. Both were able to quit. I was always impressed by that because I know what a struggle it can be for so many people. I've known, not literally hundreds, but many, many people who have tried to quit smoking repeatedly with varying levels of success. So I was definitely impressed to see people be able to go like, yeah, I just don't want to do this anymore, and able to just completely quit it. I think my sister phased it out. My sister never smoked much, and there was like for the longest time she'd be like, oh, I only smoke when I drink, and then as far as I know, I don't think she smokes at all ever anymore. So.
My dad is immune from cigarette addiction for some reason. He'd be able to smoke for like years and years, and then mid-pack, he wouldn't say anything. He'd just put it away. My mom would say like, oh, I haven't noticed that you smoke it a long time or whatever. He's like, oh yeah, just kind of, put it up or whatever. He wouldn't make a declaration or remember the date or anything like that. He would just stop. And then could start again. He'd go on the road or whatever, and there he is, or he's at war. He's in Vietnam like 3 times. But he would just kind of start and stop, and both of them neither seemed to matter to him. It wasn't like, oh, I fell off the wagon. It was just kind of like, oh, I want a cigarette or whatever. And he smokes a pipe every now and then, but he just is immune to doing it like consistently, and will just give it up without saying anything to anyone. funny.
So Carlton just joined us. Carlton, sorry that we're running up on the end, but that's good. If you can make it next week, definitely do. Carlton,
Yeah,
welcome
sure.
to the discussion.
Hi,
So,
welcome.
Hi, everybody. How's it
yeah,
going?
throw some knowledge at us, Carlton.
I have no knowledge.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, you are in good company.
You got that badass internet connection. I am jealous. Like,
I know, it is nice. You know, we don't want to move just because I don't want to lose that.
I hear that.
And I think we lost them. Uh-oh.
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, you're there. Okay.
Oh, I think Brandy muted herself accidentally.
I muted it.
Could be.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you are, Carlton. You're crystal clear. It's crazy. So I was gonna say, how about next week, Mike Bowler? Why don't you pick our topic for next week?
So that you don't feel quite so out of place.
You're not. No, I'm not putting you on the spot right this moment. Just like if you have any ideas, like,
Yeah.
Next week. Yeah.
just something like we could take up this story you were talking about with the guy who decided that Jesus is a Roman invention.
Yeah. Actually, that might be a cool idea. There's been a whole bunch of these little bitty conspiracies out there that might be a cool thing to do. Just all these
like lightning talks and conspiracies.
Yeah. That might be a good idea.
Yeah, if you want to do that, yeah, we will definitely.
I'm starting to think that
After last
Alex
week,
Jones
like,
is a false
after
flag.
last week, we need to get you talking more often because I was fascinated. I was like, holy shit, I had no idea.
I'm just, it's just life experience, I guess,
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we're talking about addiction, right?
Uh-huh.
How much time we got on the clock?
Oh, we got a little time. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Can we go
So
even after?
let me throw a monkey wrench into the works. If you think if we live in a cause and effect universe, right? Everything's determined. Everything has a cause. Then you might argue that what we perceive as choice, or the ability to choose to have a drink or not have a drink, or the ability to choose whether to watch TV or not watch TV, all of our thoughts are not really being made by us. In other words, they're the result of a chemical electrical impulse. We just have the illusion that it's choice, but we really have no say in the matter whatsoever. So if that's the case, then literally everything we do is addictive in the sense that we really can't control it. So if I pick up a pen, I don't have any choice as to whether or not I picked up that pen or not. If we could roll the universe back 2 seconds, I pick up the pen each and every time. So then what makes an addiction to alcohol, pills, gambling, whatever, what makes that addiction any different than every other action that we take?
Oh, wow.
Well, my take on free will and the whole determinism question is that if the world is purely deterministic, then we can't really tell one way or the other, as it seems as if we're making choices, and so we might as well make the assumption that we're making choices because I can't choose otherwise if that's determined for me.
I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you completely on that, Michael. As people will say, well, if it's a deterministic universe, then how can I blame, so and so person for blowing up, an airport? And I'm like, well, but you can't help how you treat them because that also it's down the rabbit hole because that also is determined.
Yeah. So I think that the way we treat different addictions, if we are in a deterministic universe, that's just going to be the way we treat the different addictions. I don't know.
Yeah, but what makes the addiction bad? In other words, is it because the addiction affects other people? Is it because the addiction affects you? Is it possible to have an addiction that isn't crippling to you and an addiction that doesn't hurt other people? And if that's the case, then is there anything wrong with that addiction?
Yeah, I think Brandy had mentioned that earlier when she was talking about what makes an addiction something that needs to be addressed, is that it has some sort of negative effect on your life, or that it interrupts your relationships with others and all that kind of thing. So if you're addicted to something that's purely personal, it's not harming your relationships, it's not really hurting you or your life, I don't think it really needs to be addressed. I think that's why so many people are okay with caffeine addiction. It's become such a common thing now, and so many people are hooked on it, but it's not really a big deal. So.
And certain addictions are culturally sanctioned as better. Like my dad is a workaholic, and he missed his own nephew's funeral to be at work, far away, far-flung places he works. And instead of people talking shit about him like I thought they might, they said, "Oh wow, where's your dad?" They knew, like they meant geographically, where is he? Because we know he's at work, and nobody talked bad about him. Nobody said like, "Oh, this is thoughtless. He should be here for his brother." No, they said, "Oh, that's fantastic. It's like your school is very expensive, basically. Like your college is 10 grand a year, and he writes a check for that, so you should be grateful." And I was, but I mean, it was just shocking to me the way the society has always thought of my dad as like heroic because he's missed, my graduation party, he's missed my wedding, things like that because he has a work addiction, and it just kills him to be idle. Even when he's at home, he's somehow or other working, and so the society likes certain kinds of addiction, and caffeine increases our productivity, and Bill Maher talks about this, increases our productivity, and therefore it's culturally sanctioned as acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna go down the same road. I've got ADD, so I take Adderall. I take it every day.
Me too.
I have a very different mindset when I take it. I always liken it. I always liken it to a guy that's Alzheimer's. That doesn't take his medication because he thinks he's okay, but he's forgotten to take it. So with the Adderall, a lot of times I'll go through a couple days and I won't take it, but I think it's okay. I don't need to take it because I'm fine. And it's not until I actually take one again that I realize I just blew away 3 days and didn't accomplish anything. Yep. But the point is, if Adderall helps me to focus and to get work done because I've got some type of a biological defect that causes me not to normally, then how is that any different from a moral or from an ethical standpoint from the person who doesn't have ADD, doesn't have a biological defect, but takes some type of an amphetamine substitute because it helps them get more work done? So they're not correcting a defect that's there. They're simply utilizing the drug to accomplish something more than they would have normally.
Sure, it's an enhancement. The problem is, do they increase their use over time? Do they use despite negative consequences? If they're not hitting any of those red lights, running any of those red lights, then if they take it for an enhancement once in a while to get through a test or to cram or do something that is just enhancement, then I don't see the problem with it. The problem comes when there's clinically significant distress, withdrawal symptoms, all these other things, use despite negative consequences. If you're not running into any of that, you're a recreational user, or it wouldn't be considered recreation because you're using it for work, but recreation, in quotes, recreational user. You're the person who has a wine every once in a while. That's what that is. You're not even clinically significant. If you presented with that, I would say you do not need treatment. If you don't want to do that thing anymore, don't do that thing anymore. And if you can just do that, then fine, you don't need help.
What do you think about the policy of, I've been to several, over the years, I have different doctors as I've moved around, but I remember in particular, and this is the only one that did this, but I remember one doctor's office, to write for the Adderall, they insisted that you come in every so many weeks and they do blood or did urine to look for drug levels to make sure you weren't abusing the drug.
Well, to make sure you weren't selling it.
That's sort of for me. I feel that's an invasion of my privacy. That should be my call as to whether or not. I mean, they're not the police, so I think that should be my call as to whether or not I think I need help or I should seek help, or at the very least, I think I should be outwardly symptomatic. There should be just cause for getting that blood level or doing that blood screening.
I wonder if they have some sort of liability for that.
To protect, their liability. They don't want to become one of those clinics that writes for ADD or writes for amphetamines or writes for like Lortabs, or people that do that often to mitigate their liability often do that to check pills or check levels just to make sure they're not being irresponsible, especially if there's a place where you live where they have a problem like that, where they have a meth problem or
and
that
was exactly their reasoning, but it doesn't seem to fly. It doesn't seem to be logical because doing the blood test doesn't ensure that you're still not giving out too much of the drug. I could certainly be selling it to somebody else and my blood level would be just fine. But there certainly are other ways to do due diligence medically than to draw blood. I mean, certainly symptomatically interviewing the patient, getting to know the patient, spending time with them. I don't see that forcibly taking blood from you is a legit way to go.
Right. It just looks more concrete, I suppose, than a clinical diagnosis based on an interview, which is how, by the way, migraines are diagnosed. So when people say that psychiatry is bullshit because you can't diagnose something clinically, I say then the migraine sufferers are bullshit because that is exactly how they're diagnosed. So I agree. Clinical diagnosis is a legitimate thing and evaluation, but it's less concrete. It's less something to point to. People like lab values. Yeah. People like numbers. People like MRIs and things like that.
Billable items.
There's the key.
Billable, and it's concrete. If you have to go to court, you can point to someone's blood levels. So.
Yeah, to get out of jail for them with a free card. Yeah. Well, Mike, you're awful quiet over there.
Always.
Oh, always.
He
I'm
seems
the
to be
quiet
out of
one.
position.
What's everybody's
Last week, though, we drew him out of his shell. It was great.
what's everybody's background, if I can ask? I don't know anybody, so.
Sure.
Background.
Except Michael, I think you and I have talked somewhere before. I seem to remember you on one with Matthew Bell at some point, but maybe not.
Me, no. I don't know who Matthew Bell is. So.
Oh well, you count your blessings, if I may.
His name sounds familiar to me, though.
Yeah, theist. He does a lot of hangouts. He's from Scotland. Bald guy, mid 40s. Very intelligent, but very dogmatic, very stubborn.
Hmm. Okay, I guess I was thinking of. There's a couple people who I've discovered through Google Books and through other things like that who are kind of kooky. And there's one of them I saw just the other day was doing a Google Plus Hangout with a bunch of skeptics, non-believers, and he's a creationist, young Earth creationist, who was arguing that creationism is just a matter of belief, and we get to our conclusions on evolution versus creation based on belief, and all of them are saying, well, no, we have all of this evidence, and he's just going, well, I just start from my beliefs and go from there.
Well, then, good for him. Yeah, there's some kooks out there. I mean, I don't want to say kooks probably isn't the right word. There's been a couple of hangouts that I've seen that were done by atheists, and I'm an atheist, but and as an atheist, I had to jump in there because they were, I don't want to say it the right way. They were making claims about theism or Christianity that weren't true. They were creating Christian straw men, and then destroying them. And I'm like, geez, come on, guys. You know, I agree with your conclusions, but at least if you're going to do that,
do it honestly.
You know, be honestly, and attack the real problem. Don't make up problems because that's what you accuse them of doing. So, but that.
So our backgrounds. You want to know our backgrounds? My background. Professionally, I'm a technical writer. I write manuals for MRIs, magnets. So thank you for the mention there, Brandy. I'm a skeptic of probably 4 years now, and before that, I was weaning myself out of being an evangelical Christian.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I went a little kooky in my later years in high school and in college, and became joined up with Campus Crusade for Christ and all those groups, and I was a creationist at one point, but I wasn't. I was raised really liberal Christian, kind of everybody's okay, I'm okay, you're okay, that kind of. So they managed to get my appreciation for science in before the brainwashing could really stick too long.
How about you, Brandy?
I posted mine in the chat, whatever.
Oh, well, okay, hang on.
Former Muslim, former Christian, covered Muslima.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. You have lived in present with us.
Yeah, I was a hijabi. They call Hajjabi. Yep, that was me.
Wow. Okay.
That's hard to believe.
See what
Yeah,
we're
I look good in it though. Yeah, I mean, I look good.
Look at all this stuff.
Non-practicing, master social work, lots of drug and alcohol rehab counselor experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Atheist and skeptic for a few years. Okay.
Yeah.
How about John? John, you there?
Yeah.
I am.
Yes.
My background?
Yeah.
Oh my. Let's see. I was religious for some time in my early teen years. I walked away from that around 14 or 15 probably. I'd say I've had some varying degree of skeptical mind since I was very, very little. I was always much of a science geek, and chemistry sets, microscope, nature guides, things of that sort. I didn't really get into, I guess what you'd say, like active skepticism until I was an adult. Up until then, it was just kind of personal deal. My career is I'm a software developer now. I was a pastry chef and chef before software development.
That's a switch.
Yeah.
Before that, I was a fitter welder. Before that, that was a very short-lived career. That was not the job for me.
How weird.
That's pretty much all about me. Maybe we'll, Brandy suggested maybe we'll use that as a future topic to talk more about our very past.
How about you? How about you, Mike?
Okay, well, my day job, I'm an electrical designer. I design power distribution systems for industries like I've been in the food industry, chemical, petrochem, all sorts of, and a few other waste treatment plants and stuff like that.
And by night, Spider-Man. No, sorry.
He's a superhero.
He's the hero
I'm a
that we need,
superhero.
not the one we
I'm the
want.
superhero. I have a podcast, A Skeptic's Guide to Conspiracy. I look at conspiracies from a historical standpoint, and also I'm a co-host on the Bitch Spot Report.
I don't think I
It's
know
an
that one. Have you
atheist,
talked about that
conservative
before?
atheists. Not really.
I don't know anything
It's
about
kinda-
it.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like a cognitive dissonance, but we're more conservative, politically conservative.
Wow.
Kind of a lot more dull. Let's put it that way. like, and I'm kind of like the Tom of the show. So
You don't do anything?
I just show up. I use my voice.
And you say, what?
What? Yeah. So,
What?
What? Yes.
What?
Yeah, Brandy, I can totally see you with the little cigar and the hijab on, and yeah, that would make
Oh, totally, yeah.
that would make for quite the movie somehow. Okay.
It made for quite a few pictures. There were a lot of my Muslim friends. They were like, "I have to have a picture of this." Like, yeah, all right, well, go ahead then.
Very cool. I don't
made
have.
the scarf look good. I'm telling you, though. I wore it Lebanese style. It was very fashionable, like very.
Were you
nice,
really?
navy
Very-
blue, plain. Like I didn't look ancient. I look good.
Yeah, I
I
don't
spoke my mind. My friend, when I first met her, she said, "Your English is perfect." I said, "Well, it should be. It's my only
Should be.
language."
Yeah.
I grew up in Michigan, so yeah, you'll get that in immersion, you know.
Oh gosh. Yeah, not much here. Kind of like who was it? No, who was the software developer by day?
John.
John. Yeah, I'm a software developer. Work for myself. But I spent, kind of like you, I spent 23 years as a born-again Christian and about the same amount of time now as an atheist. And as the Christian, I was the same as you, whether it be Campus Crusade, Larry Tomczak, C.J. May, Gathering of Believers, Scott Ross, Rockshot, whatever. I made the rounds through the Christian right wing during all those years. So, yeah, now I'm settled down.
Did you
not
get
doing much of
clinkers?
anything.
Is that called clinkers? I'm curious.
Clinkers? I'm afraid to ask. What are clinkers?
I'm still not entirely clear on that
I'm
myself.
afraid to ask what are clinkers.
It was in something in
What was
cognitive
it? Pat Robertson made
but
some reference
yeah.
to having a low-carb diet or something will give you
You get the
clinkers, and then
clinkers.
someone called in the
Yeah.
cognitive dissonance to explain clinkers being a coal-burning artifact, I guess. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's after coal is burnt, it leaves behind some of the rocks that's been entrained, and so it's kind
So
of
I
like
guess he was trying to say that he was trying to say something about a low carb.
a low-carb diet will give you clinkers.
I don't understand. It was very confusing,
It's funny though.
baffling.
But
That man is
Roberts.
a riot.
Oh, he's
Who
funny.
was it? Who was it
He's
that
the-
one time it was either Pat Robertson or it was one of the other evangelicals in the South. I think it was somebody actually more Southern than Pat. But do you remember that one time he had a talk show, or a radio show, and somebody called in as a joke? It was like a telethon. They were raising money, and somebody called in to donate money, pledge money, and they said they were from such and such Baptist Church of Smegma, South Carolina, and for half an hour Pat was repeating this on the air. What a great thing this was from Smegma, till somebody called in and enlightened him. And
Oh no.
Wow.
So bad. You know what? Speaking of funny place names, I've been thinking of calling it cognitive dissonance because they talk about Glory Hole in Georgia and whatever. Well, in Pennsylvania, we have Blue Balls, Pennsylvania. We have Intercourse. We have Prince of Prussia, or King of Prussia. Like, what the hell? King of Prussia, PA. Yeah, it's a real place. They called it to Atheist Experience, and Matt Dillahunty is like, King of Prussia, basically like you or the place. It's called King of Prussia.
Yeah, there's a hell in Michigan. I love that one.
Oh, there's a hell in Michigan. There's Paradise. My aunt is from Paradise, Michigan. It's way up north. It is not Paradise.
Is
Climax, Michigan?
There's Climax.
Yeah.
Is that North Dakota?
Climax. Paradise and Hell, I know both in Michigan for sure because my aunt's from there. But
Climax.
they get 13 feet, something like that, annual snowfall. 13 feet. It's not Paradise, I promise. Unless you're a polar bear, then that is not
There's
Paradise.
a Christmas, Michigan. I've been to Christmas, Michigan.
Yeah,
which
there's a
is
Christmas.
thoroughly
there's,
decorated in Christmas style.
There's Garfield. There's but Blue Balls, Pennsylvania. What the hell is that? Intercourse, Pennsylvania.
Well,
what is that?
looking at some interesting ones here, there's Bitchfield in England. You got to like that.
Bitchfield.
There's Bitchfield. There's a Butthole Road.
Yeah, that's Ricky Gervais' friend talks about that Butthole Road, and people want to change the address. They don't like using it to order things.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah.
Coffin Top.
England has funny names for
England
things,
does
though.
have, yeah. I just
Like
noticed that.
Nuneaton. There's
They have some
Nuneaton.
good ones. Okay, let's see if I can get away from the English ones here. Who else we got?
My anus.
My anus.
My anus, Massachusetts, I think.
Oh my God.
What is
Wow.
it?
Well, I'm not even going to go then. We're not even going to talk about. Wait a minute. I got to see where this is first. They said, oh, it's in Missouri. It's in Missouri. Knoblick, Missouri.
Oh yeah, absolutely, no look. Yep.
There's Fuking, Austria, spelled fucking.
Nice.
I like that.
What's that place? Is it Thailand? There's somewhere Asian where every time I
Phuket.
see it,
Yeah,
I
fuck
pronounce it. Yeah, fuck it. I pronounce it that. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh, look at it. It's called fuck it.
Phuket.
Yeah. But when I see it, every time, fuck it. What do we name this place? I don't know. Fuck it. Like, who cares?
This is in New Jersey. This is not. Well, it makes sense for New Jersey. It's called Shades of Death Road.
Oh wow.
got
Up
a-
until fairly recently, there was an Nigger creek in Michigan.
Yeah.
I think it's up where I'm from too, up in northern Michigan. Wouldn't surprise me.
Here you go. If you go to Wales, there's a Three Cocks Wales.
Oh, they have all kinds of funny references to like spotted dick and all kinds of things.
Well, yeah, here's another. Yeah,
Shocking.
Sussex, Upper Dicker.
Yeah.
Wang,
I did that once.
Wet Wang. You got it. Now, who came up
Wet
with that?
Wang, where is that?
That's
No
in
way.
East Yorkshire, England. Who the hell sat down one night and said, "Hey, let's call the town Wet Wang"?
And they know that. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
They know that. They know better.
That's kind of cool. All right.
All one word. Well,
I'm
there's
off.
also a
Yorkshire
place called
flag.
Bell End.
Yeah, anybody's
Bellend,
that brave,
yeah.
you know.
Isn't
Cockington,
Skeptics
Licky
with a
End.
K, they always say? Bellend. Isn't that the weird word they say on Skeptics with a K, Bellend? I don't know what that means. I'd never heard it until they said it.
And yet, these are the people
Bellend.
that are very prudish and very, puritanical
Yeah,
in
English,
their
right?
language. Yeah, I'm
Right.
like, what the hell?
My word.
What is Richard Dawkins says? Two countries divided by a common language.
Mm,
Like if you say cunt here, that's like fighting words. That is the worst nuclear war kind of weapon, speech wise. But there they fling it around like it's nothing. Like
Go to
it
Australia.
was shocking when I was there.
Well, it's true. I
Yeah.
mean, watch a couple Doctor Who episodes, and I'm like, wait a minute, what did they say? Roll that back, and yeah.
Yeah, they say cunt like it's nothing. I mean,
Well,
Richard
I
Gervais
don't
calls
know
Carl
on Doctor Who
Yeah,
yet.
the Bobby in the boot of the lorry and went up the apples and
the
pears.
boot. I don't understand that whole Cockney rhyming thing. No matter how many times it's explained, it doesn't make sense.
Oh, that's gotta be. Where's this one at?
I
Canada.
said
Our friends in
What?
Canada have a town called Swastika.
Huh.
What? Where is that?
Canada. It's in
I mean, where? Ontario.
Northern Ontario. Yes, ma'am.
I'm surprised.
Swastika.
Surprised.
They say no Nazis live there. I don't know how they know that, but that's what it says. Well, I guess it's
Well, they don't
probably
have
small
marches
enough they
where-
do know. But
In
yeah,
Michigan,
Swastika.
they have marches, KKK and all that. They have marches like Ann Arbor, Detroit, like toward the bigger places.
But you would think naming the town Swastika, wouldn't that affect?
Would
adversely-
attract them.
Well, property values. I mean,
Yeah, for sure. Well, Hell, Michigan. What's the property value if you live in Hell?
Hell's
Welcome
okay.
to Hell.
I like that. Hell, Michigan. I live in Hell.
You know what? People go there and get their picture taken when the day that they get frost. So it's like, look, I'm in Hell as it freezes over.
Well, you know what? They're in about the middle of the state. So just out of curiosity, is the zip code like 66666?
That's funny. The postal code, yeah.
No, you
I'm
just
going
reminded me
in the
talking
boot.
about swastika. There's a Kitchener, Ontario in Canada. It used to be named
Yeah,
Berlin
there is.
until World War II.
Used to be named
Yeah,
what?
Kitchener. It's a nice
Berlin.
place. Kitchener.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or actually, after it was during World War One. It looks like.
Well,
They have-
Connecticut's got a Berlin too, except they pronounce it
Berlin.
well, I mean, Berlin and not Berlin. Yeah.
There's a lot of funny sounding names in Ontario. Like there's Guelph, there's London, Ontario. My dad's like, oh, I'm going to London for work. It's like, you're drilling for oil in London? Like London proper? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, there's huge oil in Canada.
that's
I was like,
cool
oh,
one.
Canada. Yeah.
Okay, now here's a real creative one.
There's
Well, sort of
Paris,
and not sort of.
Speaking of that,
You'll like this
Paris.
one. There's a city called Unalaska, Alaska.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's where all the foreigners go to live.
Yeah.
I want to get a P.O. box in King of Prussia just to have that as my address. Like, what's your mailing address? King of Prussia,
Unalaska.
PA.
Oh, it's out in the middle of nowhere too. That's pretty though. We should look at the Wikipedia picture on Unalaska,
Is it
Alaska.
anywhere near Sarah Palin?
It's gorgeous. Well, no, the architecture on the church and the buildings is very Russian. with the
You can see Russia from there, I hear, from Sarah Palin's house.
That's what Sarah says. Yes, yeah.
Well, she says it in my head, even though it was probably Saturday Night Live, but still.
It's like one strip right on the water with the mountains in the back. It's actually kind of cool looking.
There is a city in Kentucky called Big Bone Lick.
Oh God!
What?
Really? Jeez, no.
You're kidding me.
Big Bone Lick, Kentucky.
Bone or bum?
I wonder if that Glory
Big
Hole is real in Georgia.
Oh,
Is that a
that's
real
weird.
place?
This is a
Glory
state
Hole?
park. There we go.
Glory Hole, okay.
State park.
There's
Big Bone Lick
devils.
State Park. Go see the animals in Big Bone Lick.
Well, so here's the real job now is to look at the etymology and decide and figure out whether the word meant what it does now when they named the town. You know, what came first, the town name or the word?
Well, hell was definitely a thing before that town.
I'm thinking so.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
probably.
hell.
Paradise, yeah, that was definitely a thing before they named it.
But why would they name it hell? Did it mean something else? That's just weird. Okay.
No, it was hell long before. The Indians, I'm sure, did not call it hell. Also, did not call themselves Indians, so.
Apparently, they tried to rename the city to Highland Lake.
From hell?
Yeah.
That sounds nice.
Oh,
Highland
hell
Lake.
is so much cooler. It draws people there.
Hell's cooler, though. I agree.
The Hell, Michigan website, though, says, go to Hell, Michigan. Great family-friendly place. It's go to hellmi.com. They
So-
embrace it.
How do the churches there embrace that? That's got to be interesting.
I live in hell. Welcome to hell. I'll see you in hell. Yeah, how do you arrange a meetup there? I will see you in hell.
Die to hell and die in hell. Yeah,
That's awesome. I want to die in hell if I can.
So tell me,
arrange
it's like the football team's got to be like the Hellcats or something like that.
something funny. The Devils. That'll be funny. So do you think they're going to, off topic, speaking of nothing, apropos of nothing, what are they going to do about that whole Redskins thing? I think they should definitely cave and change their name.
What Redskins thing?
Is it that thing about changing the name?
Oh, is this the same old thing about, it's...
Yeah, but it's
Redskins.
gaining momentum, though. It's gaining bullshit.
Bite me.
Actually.
It's a name. Get over
People
it.
try to say that
Grow some skin.
it's honoring the heritage of Native Americans.
It
And
isn't,
then
though.
somebody pointed out, well, you have the Cleveland Indians with Chief Wahoo,
Yeah, right.
who couldn't
Yeah, with the
possibly
whole,
be
like,
honoring
tomahawk
somebody's
thing.
heritage.
Here's the thing. Before we moved down to Tennessee, I lived up in Maine, okay? And we lived on a tiny
I was born there.
We lived in a tiny little dirt road, okay, in Stockton Springs. Tiny little dirt road off the middle of nowhere on the end of a peninsula, okay? Couldn't get farther away from everybody. There were like 3 houses there. This dirt road, which was a private dirt road, by the way, was called Squaw Point Road.
Oh, we have Squaw Run in Fox
Well,
Temple, yeah.
one day they had some Native American drove through there. They didn't even live anywhere near the town. They were like from 40 miles away, raised holy hell with the state of Maine, and forced the residents of the town to change the name of a street that they will never drive on or see ever again. And, of course, the townspeople trying to be cute went and said, well, okay, we won't call it Squaw Point Road. We'll call it Squall Point Road. And then they said you couldn't do that because it was too close to squaw. I'm like, what you got? You got a trademark here infringement on. You got a whole group of names or something.
So the country of NIGER is a problem then, yeah.
Well, they tried Square Point. They tried, they wouldn't let them. Nothing with an SQ. I said, give me a break.
People in Africa would be interested to know about that.
I mean, yeah. That's like, I don't get it. I mean,
Yes.
make a road called Short, Fat, Bald Men. I won't get upset. I could care
But
less.
there's nothing wrong with squaw. That's not a rude word,
No.
squaw.
Well,
Calling
actually,
somebody redskin
it is.
is a little bit.
Well,
pejorative.
squaw supposedly it meant
I thought that was their word for.
It is,
female
but
or whatever.
it is, but for vagina or for some other female, it was similar to cunt. Okay, so
I
but-
see.
people
but
thought
only
it was
within
meant
some,
women.
but only within some tribes, and it's like, give me a break. You got Squaw Valley, California.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they don't
nobody's
speak
raising
the
hell
same
about
language.
that. So
Yeah, there's Squaw Run, there's Squaw, all kinds of Fox Chapel of things like that named.
yeah, people are too sensitive about crap.
But that I find offensive. The whole chopping thing, I just find that whole thing ridiculous. If we did that to any other group, oh my God. I mean, aside from the Fighting Irish, but that too is a stereotype. That too is kind of a shitty stereotype. But
And
their
there's some
symbols so
truth
funny.
in it.
And there is some truth. That's the thing. Is I find it kind of accurate description, but yeah. And he looks like he's gonna punch himself, which is pretty funny. The Fighting Irish, he's he's poised to punch himself in the head, probably because he's drunk,
Yeah, if an Irishman can't find somebody else to fight when he's drunk, he'll fight himself.
There you go.
And I say this with all love for Irish people out there.
You're allowed to make fun of all kinds of people being of mixed race. You could say any kind of
Yeah,
ethnic
I'm
thing you
everything.
want, really.
I don't know what the hell I am.
Where were you born in Maine? I cut you off earlier.
Bangor.
Bangor. We lived in Bangor for a while. I worked in Bangor.
Is it worth going to?
No.
I want to be like a trout and go back to where, or salmon, like where
It's not. It's disappointing.
Go back there one
Like
day.
everything in your youth, it will only disappoint if you go back. Hold on to your fond memories.
Well, no, I don't have any. We moved as soon.
Okay,
I was
well.
just born there, and then we moved immediately. But I've wanted to go back just because I've never been there. Other
There's
than
not a-
that,
there's-
you know.
there's not a
Eastern
whole
Maine
lot
Medical
of it.
Center.
Welcome to
No.
Marvelous Banger. Why are you here?
Right. There's not a whole lot there. Stockton Springs was nice, but it was small. But yeah.
Now we've pissed off the people in Maine.
Cool. Well, I lived in Vermont too. We could go after them. You know, whatever.
Vermont. Oh my gosh, I've heard it's so beautiful there.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's pretty.
In the
Okay.
fall, especially,
All right.
I guess.
Okay. Here's your job, Brandy. Go to Wikipedia. You got your. Oh, you're outside. Never mind.
Yeah, I can go there. No, I have web access. I
You have go to Wikipedia and look up Mount Mansfield.
Okay.
Okay. Hang on. I gotta do it so I'll guide you here. This is gonna be.
So I just
Oh,
have
it's like
to
a field
interrupt.
trip.
It's
Because-
kind of funny that you were saying she can't do it because she's outside while she's talking to you on a
Yeah, I mean,
computer.
Well, I didn't see a computer or anything, so I was like, yeah.
It's because it's.
I just
It's not
figured
magic.
you know, hanging out outside type of deal. Okay, well, okay. So Mount Mansfield.
I'm omnipotent in a way.
Let me. All right. Let me know when you get to Mount Mansfield.
Internet implants.
Okay, let's see.
Yes.
Mount Man. Oh, as soon as I can do those for my ears, for my earbuds in my ears, I will in a heartbeat. I'm sick of snagging my cord all the time. Mount Mansfield. Did you say Vermont?
Just look up Mount Mansfield, but it's Vermont, yeah.
On the
Oh
Wikipedias.
wow.
Okay.
So
Well, hang
pretty.
on. Are you on the page?
Yeah.
Scroll down to where it says gallery. Down toward the bottom.
Okay, it's loading. Oh, it's raining out here. Oklahoma has this weird phenomenon where the air moves. I think it's called wind. We don't have that in Pittsburgh, so I'm like, wow, what is this strange thing? It's like my hair is moving. What? But yeah, Pittsburgh is like a meat locker. When it's cold like a meat locker. You walk outside, you're like, it's not that bad, and then eventually you get cold. Whereas Michigan, where I grew up, it's like it cuts you in half by the time you go to say anything. It's like the wind has sliced your skin.
Okay.
Let's see.
Gallery.
Mount Mansfield Gallery.
Well, you guys are looking that up. I'm gonna go ahead
Yeah.
and end the broadcast here. The Hangout
Okay.
can go on by myself.
Okay.
The broadcast. So
Okay.
whoever is still watching,
You get the
Okay.
gallery,
watching.
Brandy?
Yeah,